So let's get to the NFC division winners. It's going to be pretty interesting. Let's start with the NFC South. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they'll battle with the Falcons a little bit. I think 9 or 10 wins will probably do it, but I'm going to ride with Baker Mayfield till the wheels fall off. Bucky Irvin, Chris Godwin being healthy, Mike Evans being back. They can run the football, so that helps when you have two outstanding receivers and a quarterback that can get the ball out. Honestly, in reality, this is the Bucs division to lose, in my opinion. But I'm going to ride with the Buccaneers for my NFC South.
I do agree with you. I think the Bucs will win the division. I think this will probably be the tightest two-team race we see in the NFL. It'll come down to the last couple weeks of the season, like it did last year, between the Bucs and the Falcons. Call me crazy. I think the Falcons have top 10 offense potential.
Oh my gosh!
Between Bijan Robinson, between Drake London, Kyle Pitts, if he's finally able to be unlocked, in between Michael Penix or Kirk Cousins, whoever the quarterback is, and I think it should be Michael Penix. I think that is top 10 potential as far as an NFL offense is concerned. They have all the things they need. What they need to do is execute, and they need to win themselves football games. Again, just like with the other South division, I don't foresee a scenario where multiple teams are making it out of this division into the playoffs in the NFC, even though the NFC is the slightly weaker conference. But I do think this is the Bucs division to lose. You've got Baker Mayfield playing the best ball of his career. You've got a solid offensive line. You've got a solid defense. Mike Evans is back. Chris Godwin is back. I don't think he's starting. I don't think he'll be playing in week 1, but he'll be, he'll be
back at some point. Yeah.
Right. By the time it matters, he'll be up and fully healthy. Hopefully, they've got Bucky Irvin, who I think is going to be one of the 10 best running backs in football this year, if he's not already. Like, I think he'll be ranked top 10 in rushing yards. He might even be ranked top 10 in total yards and total touchdowns. And then, of course, you have Emeka Egbuka, who I think is quietly going to be one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver 3 in the NFL this season as well. There's a lot of talent in Tampa Bay. It's hard to deny, especially when Baker Mayfield's playing as well, right? So I do agree with you. I think this is Tampa Bay's division to lose. But if the Falcons can click, and they can click early, and they can stay consistent, I think the Falcons could knock the Bucs off and win that division in the South.
So famously, I have a 3-year sample size when I judge players. Most players, there's certain exceptions, but remind me again how many years Kyle Pitts has been in the league. Has it been 3? Drafted in 2021, I believe.
Yeah, he's going into year 5, I think. Yeah.
He's a bust. Sorry. he's
I don't know, man. Normally
he's a talented bust. You're a top 5 pick. He was picked within the top 5. You're a top 5 pick, and you have nothing to show for it, bro. Like nothing. And again, I don't want to hear about who he's played with. Talented Calvin Johnson played on a losing franchise for years. Like, I don't want to hear about players losing. Terry McLaurin has played with 37 different quarterbacks in the 5 years he's been in the league, and so he's great. He's 5 1,000-yard seasons. I don't want to hear about great players make it work. Period. Like in some form or fashion. Kyle Pitts, you're a bust. The lack of consistency. Your stats are disappointing. Your talent is there. Nobody's saying you're not talented, but you're a top 5 pick and you have nothing to show for it, bro. You have nothing. You haven't even sniffed top 10 tight end potential since you've been in the league. And there's guys on there that we haven't even heard of. Like, I had to Google. I was like, who's this guy on the Packers running routes? I have no idea who this is.
You respect Tucker Kraft.
Saved my fantasy season last year.
You respect Tucker Kraft, young man.
I mean, listen, I'd build him a statue if I could. He saved my fantasy season. I forgot who I had that went down, my tight end that went down, but I had to search the waiver wire, and there he was. I was like, Green Bay? I like Jordan Love, I guess. We'll see. I was like, there you go. Right. And I think at the time, Christian Watson had tore his ACL, or he had hurt. Yep. And so they didn't have any receivers. So I was like, they're going to throw to the tight end, whoever it is. And so I picked him up, and thank God, that was the best thing I've ever done. So shout out to Tucker Kraft, man. Save my fantasy here. Build him a statue. All right. I'm going to save the NFC North for last because that's the most interesting one.
I agree.
Let's do NFC West. Niners. I mean, I feel like the Niners is a pretty safe. I mean, I just don't know what I'm getting from Sam Darnold. It's hard to trust them. That Seahawks team. It's hard to trust. Like, I want to throw the Rams in there. It's just I can't trust Puka to stay healthy. Like Cooper Kupp's no longer there. Like, I don't know what's going on for the Rams. I like Matt Stafford. I think if anybody can make it happen with scraps, it's Matt Stafford. But again, he's aging, and I don't know what to make of it. So I landed safely with the Niners. I could be wrong. It's probably a toss-up if I'm being really honest with myself. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Rams. If Stafford's healthy, or the Niners, but if Stafford's healthy, he can make it interesting for sure.
I think this division is between the Seahawks and the Rams. I'm going to give the edge to the Seahawks now because I feel better about what they have going into the season. Right. I think there are a little bit of questions about where we're at with Los Angeles just because I think last I checked, Matt Stafford's health. I know he's healthy, but what's going on with him is still kind of in limbo. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams win the division, but I would say the Seahawks are going to win it right now. I mean, we're talking about a guy in Sam Darnold who's coming off the best season of his career in Minnesota, bet on himself, and got paid by the Seattle Seahawks. Not like a whole lot, but he did get paid by the Seattle Seahawks after they traded for him. So you got to look at that. I like the wide receiver tandem of Charbonnet and Walker. I know there's no DK Metcalf. I know there's no Tyler Lockett, but I think this season is going to be prime for JSN to rack up 1,500 or more yards this season. I think he's going to have a really good season, and I believe in that defense. The Rams, you know how I feel about Kyle Shanahan. You know how I feel about the Rams. Like, I don't want to have to beat a dead horse. I also want to figure out what on God's green earth is going on with Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. Because I do not believe that the Rams are going to win a division without Christian McCaffrey being healthy and available for all 17 weeks, or at least most of the 17 weeks of the season or the 17 games of the season they need to play. And then, of course, you know, the Cardinals, I will say the Cardinals could be a team to keep an eye on, but until I see it with my own eyes as the season goes, I'm not going to put into any offseason hype with the Cardinals because we watched the Cardinals go 7-0 and then they finished the season 10-7 and just look god awful in the postseason after that. So I don't exactly know, but I would say the safest bet is the Seahawks. I'm going to go there, but I think it's between the Seahawks and the Rams. I have no faith in the 49ers at all this season. I think their ceiling this year is 9-8. They have a really easy schedule, and I think their ceiling is 9-8 because I don't know what's going on with Christian McCaffrey.
I hear you. We'll see. NFC East, it's probably the Eagles. I mean, when you're being led by Saquon Barkley and Jordan Mailata and Zach Bond and Lane Johnson and A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, everybody else kind of just has to sit there and show up. And if you can do that, you have a division where there's a lot of excitement building in New York for Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart's going to be amazing. I just think it's not going to be this year. I like what I see. And says, who's the Rams' backup? If Stafford gets hurt, how bad is it? Jimmy Garoppolo.
No, bro. They're going to go to Stetson Bennett. I promise you they will.
All right, we'll see.
I think Jimmy G, I mean, Jimmy G's on the roster, but I think they would go to Stetson Bennett before they go to Jimmy G if Stafford gets hurt.
Well, listen, I'm on Team Jimmy Graps, so if I can,
you're always on.
I love it. I love it.
I know.
Yeah. So Saquon Barkley can once again lead the NFC's most prolific and maybe the NFL's most prolific offense. Then they have a pretty good shot as long as their quarterback kind of just holds the steering wheel and stays the course. But yeah, I mean, it definitely took a turn. Once Saquon got there, they still going to have an elite defense. They're still going to have an elite offensive line. Dallas could probably make it interesting because I think Dak is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts when he's healthy. I think we've seen that. I don't know what Dak's going to look like, so it's hard to put them as winning the division. And Washington, I listen. The problem is I trust Jaden Daniels and I trust the offense, specifically now that Terry's locked up. I don't trust the defense still. What Jaden Daniels did with the 25th ranked defense and taking that team and not really many offensive weapons to know of outside of Terry McLaurin, taking them to the NFC title game is amazing. Is that something that can be duplicated? Probably not. A lot of things went his way. There were some injuries to some other NFC teams. There was a lot of things happening. It would be unfair to put that on Jaden Daniels again. But if I had to look at the completeness of each team, the Eagles have less holes than any other team. So I think that's why they're going to win the division.
So I do agree with you. They are going to win the division when you've got the third best quarterback in football, the best offensive line in football, the best running back in football, the best 1-2 punch out receiver, right? A top 5 to 7 tight end in the NFL, and one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the NFL. You're going to win the division. I 100% agree with you. I think the Commanders are an interesting case. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I think they're an interesting case. I will say, though, we can't ignore the Dallas Cowboys. Like, we can't do that.
I know.
Eagles are the Eagles, and the Commanders had a really good season.
Right.
But I am not going to sleep on the Dallas Cowboys, despite what's happening with Micah and despite the fact that Dak is coming off of a season where he missed the second half due to injury. I'm just not going to do it. I know that a hamstring injury is nothing to play around with, but the last time Dak Prescott played a full season after an injury, he finished top 2. He finished runner-up in MVP voting in 2022.
Sure.
After he got hurt in 2022. So call me crazy. Dak Prescott, I think, will be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL this year. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens is going to be a top 10 wide receiver duo in the NFL, right? Their offensive line is a little bit better. Their defense, obviously, without Micah Parsons, is going to be that great. But assuming they can keep Micah Parsons, their defense is going to be one of the better defenses in the NFL, I think. Their biggest weakness is the run game. And honestly, if Dak Prescott is playing at the caliber that he was playing in 2023, having Javonte Williams and whoever else they have in the backfield really isn't going to be that big of a deal because they're capable of doing what they need to do to make sure that the game can stay as balanced as possible as far as the offensive attack is concerned. So I think the Eagles are going to win it. And I think the Commanders are most likely to knock them off, but I am not going to sleep on the Dallas Cowboys because we can get halfway through the season and you look up and the Cowboys are on a roll because it's happened before. Not saying the Cowboys are going to win a playoff game, make the conference championship, or go to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying all that, but I'm saying I'm seeing a lot of people just completely write off the Cowboys. One, because they're the Cowboys, and two, because of what Jaden Daniels and the Commanders did last season. I'm telling you guys now, don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't live in the past. Live in the right now. And the right now tells me that the Dallas Cowboys can win 10-plus football games and be competitive in the NFC East.
Serge says Commanders looking nice this year. The Debo signing is the cherry on top of Louisville too. Yeah, the issue to me isn't the Commanders' offense. I think the Commanders' offense is going to be great. It's the defense, and that's why I can't. And I can't put them above teams that I believe have better defenses than them. It's my only question mark for Washington. I expect Washington to make the playoffs at the very least. But to ask them to take it to the only thing you can go is the Super Bowl because they were in the NFC title game. So it's hard. I'm not going to say if they don't make it back to the NFC title game, it's going to be like a losing season, but I fully expect them to make the playoffs at the very least. NFC, where did we do? We did the South, we did the East, we did the West. Now it's the NFC North.
Yeah.
There will be a point, Dwyane Marcus, right around week 4, possibly week 5, where we will see Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Adam Thielen, TJ Hawkinson, and Aaron Jones all line up around J.J. Breeze McCarthy with a stacked O-line. And that's why the Minnesota Vikings are going to win the NFC North.
I hear you. I can't say the Vikings are going the North. Only because I haven't seen J.J. McCarthy play football at this level. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
I think the Vikings are going to be second for sure. I think the Packers are going to win the division.
Shocker.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan. I think if you start with the Bears, I think the Bears have a chance to get at least 7 to 9 wins this season. It's not going to be enough to win this division, I don't think. The Lions lost both their coordinators.
Yeah.
They have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
As far as just changing and continuity and things of that nature. And unlike last season, where Jared Goff played 14 games indoors, that will not be the case for Jared Goff this season. And we know Jared Goff is not an outdoor guy. When Jared Goff is put into the elements, he is not the same quarterback. And so I just question whether or not the Lions are going to be able to maintain that same level of excellence, so to speak, that they've gotten over the past couple of years. I think the Vikings, between the Vikings and the Lions, are more likely to win the division. But again, I got to see what J.J. McCarthy looks like. If J.J. McCarthy can be the quintessential game manager and continue to, get better as the years go on, I agree with you. I think the Vikings can win the division, and I think they might run away with it because when you have when you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, now you're bringing Adam Thielen to the fold. You have TJ Hawkinson and a really good offensive line. Oh, and you're handing the ball off to Aaron Jones. I said about the Falcons. I'll say it about them too. That's top 10 offense potential. Yeah. But the reason why I think the Packers can and will win the division is twofold. Number one, we finally have a wide receiver one in Matthew Golden. And Jaden Reed, who has been our wide receiver one so far, I think will start the year as wide receiver one. But I think eventually once Matthew Golden gets his footing, it will be him. More importantly, I think Josh Jacobs is going to have an even better year this year than he did last year. I think Josh Jacobs might knock on the door of 2,000 total scrimmage yards, and I think he might knock on the door of 20 total touchdowns because we're going to have to go to him early and often. I like this offensive line. I think Xavier McKinney is going to cement himself as the best safety in football this year after a great year in 2024. I think Nate Hobbs, there's a lot of Packers fans who didn't like the acquisition of Nate Hobbs. I don't know if you can find a better guy to come in and can be your cornerback one and kind of do what Jair was doing at a similar age than Nate Hobbs. But the real reason why I think the Packers can win the division, because there's been a lot of movement going on in Lambeau. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Packers have 4 inside linebackers on our roster.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys happen to know what position Micah Parsons plays, but officially, Micah Parsons is an inside linebacker. I know they kind of put him everywhere because he's that good, but that's what he is.
Yeah.
And it seems between our new president, Mr. Policy, between Brian Gutekunst and between others in the organization, it seems like the Packers have been aggressive about trying to go get Micah Parsons. And I think the most realistic trade package would be Lucas Van Ness, Devondre Wyatt, and a bevy of picks to go get a guy of that caliber. If the Packers can pull that off, I think that cements them as the NFC North champions. So much so that I'm going to advise every Packers fan to do something that is against our religion as Packers fans. On September 4th, next Thursday, when the Cowboys are playing the Eagles, every single Packers fan needs to root for the Cowboys to win. Because if the Eagles win that game and they dominate the Cowboys, Jerry Jones is going to come to his senses and pay Micah Parsons whatever it takes to get him to put that helmet back on and put that uniform back on. But if the Cowboys go into Philly, the first game of the season, and they beat the Philadelphia Eagles and the defense holds their own, Jerry Jones is going to rest on his laurels and he's going to say, "Oh, we can go another week." And he's going to keep doing it. And the longer the Cowboys can go without playing with Micah Parsons and the more competent they can look, the better I think the chances are that Micah Parsons ends up outside of Dallas. Now, I don't disagree with you, David Burns. The Eagles are going to win that game. I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to win. I agree with you. I actually put money on it today that the Eagles are going to win that game. I'm just saying, as Packers fans, our best chance of seeing Micah Parsons in Lambeau is if the Cowboys win that game. Because then Jerry Jones is going to start feeling like he doesn't need them. You guys remember, Emmitt Smith, fresh off of back-to-back rushing titles, I believe it was, and winning a Super Bowl, needed a contract. Jerry Jones didn't pay him. Then the Cowboys started the season 0-2. Jerry Jones pulled out the checkbook. So all I'm saying is, if Packers fans are serious about wanting to see Micah in Green Bay, they need history to not repeat itself. They need the Cowboys to win in Philly so that Jerry Jones can consider moving off of Micah. Because I think right now Jerry Jones is still pretty dead set on not moving off of Micah. But if they beat the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, on the road to start the season, and they can string another win or so together, and history is opposite of what it was with Emmitt Smith, I think that makes the possibility much more likely. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying if the possibility were to truly become reality, that is what it would take. Again, David, I don't disagree with you. I think with or without Micah, the Eagles are going to boat race the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're just that good. I think they're just that much better than them. I really, really do. But if we're talking about just thinking about all of that we've been hearing about whether or not the Packers can land Micah Parsons, Dallas winning in Philly would be one step in the right direction for the Packers. That's all I'm saying.